Hola Bandidos, ¿cómo estamos? Welcome to Mel's Magic. I'm Magic Mel, and this is Al, my spirit guide. Welcome to episode 13 of season 5. I can't keep track anymore of these episodes, but still. Wow. I have so much to share, but let's get grounded. How about that? Let's get grounded. Oh. Maybe you want to take a breath with me, like super deep inhale from your abdomen, filling your lungs, pull the inhale super up into your head, and then just exhale. Yeah, you can do this a few times. Vale. So, I've had so much input. I'm watching a lot of podcasts, other YouTubers, inspirational figures, and I kind of, I take on board what resonates, what doesn't resonate, why. I'm extremely curious. I want to learn. I feel in the past I was very rigid in my beliefs and in my mental constructions. So I prefer nowadays to be a bit more like bamboo, to sway, be flexible, mold like water also. So this essence, the substance is still there, but I adapt to the environment without losing my integrity, of course. So 2 figures I listened to were Quazi Johir, he's amazing. He's super charismatic also. And Kyle Cease. And as you know, Magic Mel is all about being authentic. But Kyle Cease, wow, he's definitely on another level. And I'm not saying better than, he's just doing things differently. And what does authenticity really mean? I had to look at that too. So glitch, I think it's my storage. I need to put files on a different hard drive. In any case, I said, what does being authentic even mean? And for me, it's being present with what is and being transparent about what is present, being allowing for what is present. So how am I feeling? I'm feeling good. J'avoue, I confess, I spent half of the day in bed because I was tired and I was listening to things. And this notion of staying in bed in the morning a long time completely goes against my old wiring, which is like, go, 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 discipline, 7 Uhr aufstehen, get up at 7. And there's a whole, I made like a whole schedule for myself. Creativity blocks, pauses, meditation, this and that. But I like to break my own rules. And yeah, this morning I just allowed myself to integrate, to process things, to feel, to tune into my energy. At some point I said, okay, basta. I felt the urge of, okay, now we can start doing things. Took the shower and here I am. So I'm feeling grounded and contemplative. And I feel like sharing a few anecdotes from my life and how I go about things. I'll start with this. They have like a pimple there. Oh, looks like my third eye. But I did go yesterday to brave the world. I went to the pueblo to see the Christmas decoration and to support some friends who are musicians and were performing at a bar, which I didn't even know existed, and was quite exciting to discover that. I love discovering new places in our town. And when I saw them on stage, I felt this urge like, hey, I can do that too. And I almost felt like maybe as soon as they finish, I can ask if I can sing too. And then I was asking myself, Melanie, can you just allow them to shine and appreciate them and the moment and the music and not project your own desire onto it immediately? So I appreciated my inspiration because I thought, okay, I'll bookmark that idea because I do want to go on stage and sing. But in that moment, I just tuned in and said, present moment, be there for your friends, like appreciate their music. And it really made me reflect on the intentions we sometimes have are egoic way of trying to control a situation or trying to impose our wishes onto a situation, and how challenging it is to just be present for what is. I gave you an example in my last episode of how I do congratulate myself that I'm becoming an increasingly better and more active listener, which I always found challenging because I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like that too. Oh yeah, me too. It's like, hey, the other person is speaking. The other person has a story. Listen. Where is it going with that? Yeah, I am able to be more spacious in that sense, to just be present and tune in. But of course, I'm also still learning, and my recent experience has been, remember that abandonment rejection wound I told you about yesterday, where I said I woke up with a pain in my chest and this old trigger being activated. I reflected on that and I asked myself why, which is actually a card I pulled today. I reflected on why I was feeling like that, because as you know, we want to get to the source of things. We don't want to put band-aids on and then let the wound fester. It's time to really allow for healing to happen, and that only happens when we really face things. Be brave enough and face things. So I sat with that wound, with that rejection wound, and I realized that it came from me I wanted an outcome. I wanted a result. I wanted a specific reply from the person. And because I didn't get that reply, I felt rejected. I'm brush stroking, making broad strokes here, generalizing. Not to go into the detail of the story, but I'm sure you all come across that, no? Where you somehow in a situation, your daily life, by the way the person reacts or responds, you feel rejected. So the invitation there is really to use that rejection, that feeling, that emotion as a portal of inquiry, of getting to know ourselves better. Like, why am I feeling like that? Without immediately telling the other person and kind of continuing this egoic, reactive, emotional, it's not even a dance, it's more of a vortex we get entangled in, no? So to take a step back and ask ourselves, why am I feeling like that? What has been triggered here? Yeah, I came to a conclusion that I felt disappointed with the result, that I didn't get what I expected out of the situation. And then I was like, wow, expectations is a big one, no? Kyle Cease also said this wise quote. He said, nobody ever broke your heart. They just didn't live up to your expectations. He said it better, I'm paraphrasing. But that also shook me. I'm like, oh my God. It's not like the other person has a dagger in their hand and like goes and breaks my heart, or a sledgehammer smashes my heart. It was my own expectations that I projected onto the situation or the other person, and that then maybe didn't get fulfilled, not because of malevolence or any intentionality from the other person, but they just had their own stuff going on. But it was my expectations which actually, when they weren't met, caused that trigger. of, oh, I'm not wanted. Oh, I'm not good enough. And when I zoom back into the situation where the initial trigger was triggered, my immediate reaction would have been to do more, to like push more, to force more, to ask for more, to kind of control the situation. And I realized the more I was trying to do that by prodding, the more the situation evaded me, the person retracted. So can we goes back to yin and yang, no? When to act and when to stand back and let it flow. And Taoism also talks about that, no? Wu Wei wisdom, to go with the stream of life rather than forcing. Forcing is the ego. The ego wants to control. Why? Because the ego needs safety, needs certainty, needs something concrete to build its story around. Without that safety, the ego is scared because it cannot exist in the unknown. So the invitation is, ask yourself in those moments where you tried to control something or you were disappointed, what was at the core of that? Could it have been fear? And it's really crazy how pervasive fear is. Not just out there, but in our own being. And fear, although it is an illusion, it feels so real. And that's where we get hooked on it. The emotion of fear is very real. But our expansion lies in going beyond that fear. And by going beyond, I don't mean bulldozing, meaning pretending the fear is not there, shoving it away. It really is an invitation to listen and understand the fear, that aspect in yourself that feels scared, and nevertheless act from your higher self, take it by the hand, that fear, and say, I hear you, I see you. However, trust me, we're still going to do this thing because that's where evolution lies and that's where expansion lies. And it sucks to be stuck. And it's painful to be in resistance. So being able to, conjure the space of awareness where we allow our fear to be there, to accept the situation, to not get entangled and act from this fear space, because when we project and act out of fear, the reaction is also fear. Have you not noticed that also in situations where you emotionally reacted and a big emotion came back from another person? Because you also trigger someone else's fear. It's a domino effect. It's a magnifying thing. So can we lovingly inquire when we get triggered? Why? Keep on asking why? Persist in that. Questioning, in that inquiry, because that is really how we understand what is at the root, what is the root cause of the situation. And then we can also more easily let go, because when you see and understand your fear and understand where it comes from, maybe related to an event in the past, a story from the past, you can then ask yourself, does this still serve me? You can create a space for choice, your ability to choose to emerge, and ask yourself, okay, fear is valid. But does it serve me to still act out of that fear in the present moment? Or am I just perpetuating a fear cycle, a story that will literally recreate itself from the past into the present, into the future? So going back to the notion of time and productivity, this half day spent in bed processing things is not wasted time. I'm actually realizing that for myself, because I had a to-do list, part of which is to really clear the kitchen, because actually it's a complete mess. And again, I'm proud of myself that I'm allowing myself to be messy, because old paradigm Mel was perfectionist. I had to have everything clean all the time. And that part again was a controlling part of me, because in my childhood I felt that by keeping things clean and in order, it was a way for me to feel safe. At least I had control over something. Can you relate to that? So allowing myself to stay in bed, leave the house messy, and process things is valuable. This time of integration is valuable, and it only happens when I slow down. And healing is all about slowing down and listening. And healing is messy, just like my house is messy at the moment. It goes against everything the ego tries to latch onto, to find safety in. Because old routines create familiarity, create habits, create patterns, and the ego loves familiarity. To go against a routine and do something completely spontaneous, the ego hates that. It's like, oh my God, what's happening now? I don't know what the result will be. What is the outcome? And to say, I don't know. Ego hates that. You gotta know. I gotta know how to get from A to B. I can't just go out on a wing. But I'm really challenging myself these days to do precisely that. And it's a balancing act. And I'm realizing that because I was so strict with myself in the past, I would drive myself so hard into achievement, into doing the homework, doing what was expected of me, into academic discipline, that when I connected back with my inner child was like that. Literally, fuck discipline. And we went on a bit on a rampage. Little Mel and me, and we're like, I'm gonna eat whatever I want, I'm gonna do whatever I want, like a little kid. And that too was part of my healing process, because I was in such an extreme that I had to allow for the other extreme to emerge, to find a kind of middle path. I know now that both extremes are not healthy, but I had to experience both to feel what it was like to go in both directions and see that it was not working. In human design, I'm a 3/5 generator. And I think it was a 3 or the 5. But basically, one of the numbers meant that I'm the kind of, my nature is to try things out and to learn from experience. And then bring that experience and the knowledge and the wisdom back into the collective. That's basically what I'm doing also here. I'm not talking from theory here, I'm talking from my experience. So I had to go through both of these extremes, like complete crazy control freak to complete anarchist. And I'm trying to now see, I pulled a card for me today, which is authority. And this, in the tarot, it's a psychic tarot, but basically is the same as the emperor, the divine masculine, which is about reasoning, logic, wisdom, leadership, structure. So it's interesting, this card came out today. Pull it for me, but we are connected. So I trust that this will relate to you in some way. A part of me was like, yeah, but I don't like structure anymore. Little Mel was like, I don't like structure, I don't like discipline. And then I tuned in and I had a conversation with Little Mel. I said, I hear you, I know, we've been super hard on you in the past. But to completely eat whatever you want anytime, to drink whatever you want anytime, to just be completely free is not actually freedom itself either. Because by creating some structure, we create consistency. And it's actually in commitment and consistency that we grow. And I'm not saying this as the ultimate stance. Again, I'm a work in process. But for me at the moment, this feels right, to create a little bit of structure. So maybe I don't have to be like this big boss dude here, like, going all again to other extreme and like, you must, thou shalt, and all of that. Oh, nee. It's like the super ego again, screaming at me, no. We're not coming from a place of self-hatred and self-loathing and self-berating. My intention is to come from self-love. So what does the loving and wise, authoritative, in the good sense, Melanie, feel is the right way to go? Some structure. Okay, we can do that. But you gotta go through that process on your own. I can also tell you things, but the question is, does it feel true to you in your own life experience? And I've mentioned that before. There are truths out there, but they only become real if it's an experiential thing in your body. Does it feel true to you? That's the question. It's also like there's like a gazillion healing modalities out there. But which ones work for you? What do you need at the moment? Do you need to rest more, or do you need to activate yourself more? I mean, there's no one size fits all in this aspect. I spent a lot of last year just resting. I had a fried nervous system. My energy, I didn't have any energy, really. I was sick. So to finally allow myself to rest was so unfamiliar. But it was what I needed in the moment. And I just kept on tuning in at every step, okay, what I need now, and to become intimate with what I needed, with myself. Not what does everyone else out there need, what does Melanie need, what do you need? To be able to meet our own needs already is a quantum leap into creating better relationships, creating a healthier society, just everything, because everything is built on you. You are the biggest project there is. You are your biggest work of art. I also thought about that. Oh, I should go back into painting. Well, first of all, I'm going to strike out the word should. And then I affirmed, I am the greatest work of art, because all of this stuff comes from me. And I don't buy into this suffering artist narrative anymore. No. I work best when I'm inspired, when I'm joyful, when I'm healthy, when I've covered and met my basic needs. I'm not hungry, I don't feel anxious because I haven't moved, basic stuff, guys. And by listening to all of these other YouTubers and podcasts and whatnot and inspiring figures, also, I'm like, oh, what resonates for me? How do I want to have Mel's magic? And I noticed that in some interviews, they don't allow, I think they edit out the pauses or the quiet moments. And I've decided I will allow for the quiet space, for the pauses, for the breaks. Because silence is just as important as the spoken word. Spoken word comes out of the silence. Creation comes out of the all. Galaxies come out of a black hole. I strive for more spaciousness in my life. And it's after I've tuned in and tuned into silence is when I can really listen and hear things, hear my intuition, which is never the voice that is screaming at me. It's a very subtle, wise and direct and loving voice. And I can't hear that voice when my mind is filling me with my to-do list and stories from the past and stories from the future. That's why the meditation is so valuable. Because we come back into the body, we quiet our mind. And meditation, any form you want to take it, you can even do walking meditation. It's a way of synchronizing the mind, the conscious mind, with the subconscious, which is the body. Even when you tune into your breath, when you focus on your breath, it's like the conscious mind is integrating with what is here. It's being part of authentic. What is happening right here, right now? And I no longer want to separate. For example, follow your heart, forget about your mind. Was it Quazi who also said, he took it from another reference, the conscious mind is the channel. It's like the gate. Subconscious mind, the heart, is the energy flow. So it's no longer about mind versus heart. It's about really synchronizing things, coming into congruence and coherence, all of your being. Another thing I do now, picked up from Quazi, is to every hour, I don't need to write it down, but every now and then, I don't have a timer either, I really ask myself, hey, who am I? Where am I? And what am I doing? Because it's so easy to get just lost in thoughts or checking something or doing whatever. It's like, hey, present moment, where am I? How am I breathing? Come back into the body. There's all of these tools, and the main point is to really integrate the tools, to not just, it has to somehow sit with you. And that doesn't have to work forever. If you're done with gratitude lists and you're generally in a state of gratitude, appreciation, then you can ditch the list. you can develop another skill, another tool. But for me, instead of doing everything, I train myself to the notion of less is more in all senses. And I'm still, it's a process. I'll tell you another anecdote. I don't know if I mentioned in my past videos that I had an inflammation and my skin was, reacting a little bit like it's now, but I know why. I'll tell you now. So I went to the pharmacy, and although I know the pharmacist meant it well, she said, oh, you better go on antibiotics. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to deal with my body. I'm going to try something different first. So I went plant-based for, I don't know, it was 3 or 4 weeks. And my skin started clearing up. I drank more water also. And I was like, wow, our body has this capacity to heal. It's incredible. If only we allow it and give it the right environment to do so. But then all of a sudden, I was in the supermarket and I was looking at different things, fish, and then the voice said, oh no, you're not allowed. Remember, you're on a plant-based, you're not allowed. And that kind of built up to the point where this past week, I bought salmon again, opened a bottle of cava, opened a bottle of wine, because I'm like, screw this. I'm just gonna indulge a bit. And then it comes back, and coffee as well. So I know why this is here. I can trace it back. But what's more important is, where did this urge come from? Like, okay, I felt like I was depriving myself. And again, it comes back to this discipline. I asked myself, am I choosing this plant-based diet because I have to and because I'm trying to be something, and it's this mold I'm trying to fit in and say, ooh, I'm vegan. I don't even use the word vegan because I don't want these labels yet. Or is it coming from a space of self-love? So I realized this week, this revolt, like, screw the plant-based. I want to eat again what's tasty and what is, I deserve chocolate, I deserve this and that. And it was the little Mel saying, I don't want this discipline anymore. Why are you so hard on me? So my exercise now is to talk with little Mel and say, hey, we're not depriving ourselves actually. Have you not seen that we feel better and look better, clearer skin when we've chosen to eat this way? So for me this week is really an exercise in digging deeper and finding out why. What is my intention behind this behavior? Where am I coming from? A place of judgment or a punishing discipline? And where am I coming from? A space of self-love and choice. And that brings me back to the authority, having a bit of structure. It's a fine balance. And nobody can really do that for you but you. You gotta relate to yourself, to these different aspects that are often or sometimes in opposition, and that's why we have these inner conflicts, no? Because 2 different or 3 different aspects want a different thing or think differently. The conflict doesn't even happen out there, it happens inside of us. So the invitation is there to look within and then recognize these different aspects and really give them a voice or give them the mic and listen to them, write it down so it's also clear for you to see, what am I dealing with here? What does this aspect want? What does the other aspect want? And to come to some kind of diplomatic, unanimous agreement where we don't bulldoze one aspect's needs over the other. So for example, my conversation with little Mel is like, okay, look, based on the way we've been feeling, we're going to choose this food because it makes us feel better, but we're not going to be all like, I'm only 100% this. Every now and then, if we feel like it, because pleasure is also important in our lives, if you feel like it, we're going to have a little bit, not overgo all crazy and like binge eat, what I used to do also in the past, but I guess, not be rigid. I don't want to be rigid with anything. And the funny thing is also, I remember somebody once told me, Mel, don't wear this crazy red lipstick. And I asked why, and she said, that's not you. It made me think, is it? Is it not? I don't know. Maybe it's me today. Maybe I felt like just slapping on this screaming red lipstick. Maybe tomorrow I feel a different way, which I'm sure I will. But can we be a little bit more flexible with our identity, with our processes in general? Flexible and find a structure that works for us, at least within a certain amount of time until it doesn't work anymore, and then adapt again. That's why this tuning into the present moment is important. Do I really need, what need do I have in the present moment, and what I'm doing meeting that need? It's an ongoing process. The body is a process also, no, it's not like a fixed thing. So yeah, guys, what can I say? It's quite something to be a human being, no? Yeah. I feel that's all for today. More contemplative episode, no? I feel it's important to give ourselves permission to bring out whatever feels authentic in the moment. And that is how I would like to define Mel's magic. Whatever comes out in each episode is the authentic state of me in that day. And it's not one thing. I have like a gazillion, like a shapeshifter also. That's what makes it exciting. It's like David Bowie, you know, like he reinvented himself how many times? Super exciting. I don't want to fixate on this one state of being. I want to uncover, well, what wants to come out today. Well, I'm looking at this pen because I see this crazy rainbow under it, but I can't. I don't know if I can take a picture, but yeah. Keep the curiosity flowing for yourself. Keep on investigating. And even if you hear a voice, this, especially the you should, you must, oh, warning signal, where is it coming from? Why? Be curious. And let's get to the root of things. Because the way we feel emotions, pain, that are the symptoms of a deeper message that want to bring us to a deeper truth. So instead of killing the messenger with painkillers, honor your pain, your feeling, your emotion, and ask it, what have you got to tell me? And go deeper, deeper, deeper. You're going to find something very important that will help you shift ossified or really ingrained old hardwired stories that maybe don't serve you anymore in the present moment to feel alive. I'm Magic Mel. My channel's called Mel's Magic. It's Owl. And hey, I'm going to switch it up for the next episode because I forgot this time, but I'm going to switch it up again. You know that I have a donation button. And if you feel like subscribing, liking my videos also, sharing with friends, please do. Because I feel what I have to share is valuable. And if it resonates, then it's amazing. Actually, okay, just last little anecdote. Yesterday I got a comment from somebody, a really beautiful comment on my video. And it was encouraging because what I'm doing out here is kind of a solo show. There's nobody really directing me or just saying what to do or anything. It's just free flowing. So it's challenging for me to sometimes just gauge myself. So all I do is this internal reflection. What am I bringing to the table and why? You know, am I doing this to just get admiration, or is there something deeper behind? And okay, I'll clarify that too. My purpose is to, yes, bring all of me here, and it might come out in different moods and different shapes and different looks to show you the versatility of my being, the richness of my being, and to hopefully inspire you to discover your multifaceted, multidimensional being, which you are. So my intention is to inspire, to share my knowledge, to share my experience, and to activate that spark in you. And yeah, I want to create an abundant life. So my intention is, there's an internal intention and an external intention, meaning I'm doing this for my highest good, personally, yes, expression of my joy, expression of my being, but also I intend for the highest good of everyone. Because if we all learn and lean into our authenticity and really share our true gifts and talents, that will make a richer world and will create different stories and different truths, not just this one hard-wired meta-narrative that we're being fed. So yes, it's good to become clear why you're doing things, why you're saying things. Keep a bigger picture in mind. Voila. That's it. Let's leave it at that. I'm sending you infinite love and infinite gratitude, and stay curious. Owl and I have got your back. Ciao.